What is going on, guys, and welcome to the Sunday Night Live. We are going live here Sunday, April 25th. Starting a few minutes early, just because why not? But we're going to be talking about stocks for this coming week for about an hour and a half or so. So I figured might as well just jump right in. For those who are tuning in quick, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. We're looking at futures as of right now, and they're slightly red, but there's something we want to talk about, and that's Bitcoin, which it's a little more interesting, I think, as of right now. What's going on with Bitcoin, and it doesn't look good. So we can do that definitely for this video. It's definitely going to impact the Maras, the Riots, the SOS, all those Bitcoin crypto miners, all those related stocks for this upcoming week, at least for tomorrow. We'll see what happens. They actually were pretty good dip buys on Friday. Thursday into Friday, it didn't look good. Bitcoin fell off overnight, but then Thursday morning, come Friday morning, those bottomed out in the pre-market, and they bounced a decent amount, at least intraday, 5%. Something like that. So they weren't terrible bounce plays. They're not terrible plays if you don't really know what else to trade, or you're not really sure what's going on and you can't get a good feel for the overall market. It's choppy. You're thinking, SPY looks kind of shaky. They're not terrible ideas to go off of. They're not terrible stocks to trade by any means. So we're going to talk about that. Also, want to dive into OCGN really quick because there is some news, I believe, we got to cover. So let's talk about this. This is probably the biggest. We got OCGN finished up with their $100 million offering last week. This is probably the most interesting stock, I would say, for Monday morning because of how it finished up. So we can dive into Webull really quick. We'll talk about this Bitcoin in just 1 second, but I want to mention OCGN for those who are jumping in quick at the beginning, and for those who are tuning in afterwards. OCGN is probably the number one watch of the day going into Monday, the 26th of April, because look at how it finished up here in the after hours. It really popped, and this is a stock that had the most volume on Friday. If you take a step back, maybe not the most volume, but it had a lot of volume. Okay, so let's take a look. We had almost 500 million shares traded on Friday, which is the most it's seen in quite some time. Prior to that, it had on February 8th, it traded 700 million shares, and then on the 23rd of December, it traded almost 1 billion shares, 900 million shares. But at those times, the stock was trading at significantly lower prices, so to a degree, right, the volume kind of speaks for itself. So we'll see if this one plays out. Over 1450, I think, is the key. Actually, 1460. You clear over those levels, OCGN has a shot. I mean, at this point, with the type of volume it's seeing, Y20 is not out of the question based on how it's moving. Is it going to be a long-term sustained 20? I don't know. I beg to believe that probably not, but that's just also my kind of, I guess, opinion. It's not by any means. I'm just going to trade it short-term. That's it. I'm not going to hold this one long-term. It is how I see these types of plays. But that said, this is going to be an interesting play. It gets back up to that 14 area. It's going to have some resistance, so we'll see what happens. It might not be a terrible short idea. And when we talk about short versus long, it's something I'm going to be talking about more because I've started to dabble in it more, but not necessarily that I'm the perma bear and I'm all of a sudden just short. No, it's because when you start identifying where the shorts could stack in and where it makes sense for someone to go short, it really helps your long. So if you want to go long, if you're a long bias trader, and you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? If I was going to short this stock, I would short it at $14. It gets up over $13.50. I'm shorting this stock, or I would short this stock. Now, you could be a short OCGN at $13.50. Maybe you average up, or you average in at 14, then you average in again at $14.50 on your OCGN short. Now, these are probably going to cost. This is probably going to be a super hard to borrow stock tomorrow, for example, but it's probably not going to make sense numbers-wise if you're going to short this for more than 1 day. Holding it for a couple of days is probably going to be a fairly costly stock. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow. But if you know that, and then you're like, hey, this thing pushes up over 15, that's my stop. It's the same thing as a long trade, right? In the same example, right? For example, OCGN, maybe you were looking at this as a long bias trader. Let's go zoom in, and you're like, hey, $5 is going to be my stop loss. I'm going to be buying this thing down here between $6 all the way down to $5, and $5's my stop. And guess what? It bounced at $5.25, and it made a big move. So it's the exact same thing, just the other way around. If you flip, almost like flipping the charts upside down, which is good it's good to have a good understanding of that. So at least you're aware. Now if you're going to be going long up here for the $14 area, you're playing the speculation that this thing breaks out over 15 and goes crazy. That could certainly happen, and that could be a massive trade as well. But, just understanding that if you were a short, if there was a short, right, looking to go into this stock, you're probably shorting this thing over 1350. You're shorting this thing over 15. Then, I would be like, hey, if I'm a short, I'm not touching this thing. This thing is going to go crazy. So I wouldn't mess with it. But just seeing both sides is going to be key. All right. Hope everyone's doing good. It's just still a few minutes before 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock at least my time. But yeah, starting early. Why not? I figure why not? We got to talk about Bitcoin. So I'm going to just pull up this up. We'll come back to some of these stocks and we'll talk about a bunch of other stocks, obviously, as time goes on. But look at Bitcoin. I got a lot of lines, I guess, kind of drawing some stuff in. But Bitcoin it had this beautiful kind of pennant shape setup, bear flag, whatever you want to call it, right? Where it was beautiful. And then it cracked just literally a couple of hours ago. It cracked below under 50K, fell down, hit 47,000, and now it's bouncing back up to 49. So we'll see how it plays out here. I think you're going to see some volatility here, obviously, understand Bitcoin. But what I want to look at is like the 4-hour chart and get a sense of where this thing could be headed in the near term. You go on social media, you go on Twitter, you get the bears, the bulls, right? You got the bulls saying this thing is going 100K, 500K, all these crazy things. At the end of the day, this doesn't look good in the short term. So if I'm someone who's bullish on Bitcoin, right? You can be bullish on Bitcoin across all different time frames. Right now, the next 1 to 2 weeks, I would say I don't really anticipate Bitcoin making a new high, making a new all-time high. I would highly, highly bet against that if I was, I have Bitcoin, right? I'm not going to pull my money out of Bitcoin as of right now, but that's why I have it in BlockFi where I earn interest on my crypto. So it at least makes these types of dips and drops not as bad if you're earning some interest on it. So, it kind of evens out. When Bitcoin falls off this much, it doesn't even out. You're still down, but in the day, it is what it is. But I have Bitcoin from such a low average that this is actually starting to get intriguing for buying some more. If Bitcoin comes down to the low 40s, I probably would look to buy some more on these dips. And honestly, Ethereum looks a little more interesting. It's been a lot stronger as of late. But breaking down under this kind of uptrend we had right here, so breaking down below that, I was looking at 50K. It tried to hold up. It's not looking like it wants to hold up. We'll see how this weird kind of candle is looking as of right now. But I think there's some solid support here in the mid 40s. So if it comes down below 45, Bitcoin may come down towards 41, come down towards 40-ish. Under 40, this is kind of an area I'd be watching, down between 41 and 38,000. So this kind of range right here, I have a bunch of lines, and these are kind of all areas I'd be looking at potentially picking up some Bitcoin if I was looking to go long Bitcoin, if it kind of can hold up on some of these prior areas of support resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised based on how fast this Bitcoin is falling off from the highs. What I was saying for the next 1-2 weeks, this may be a play that goes back to all-time highs, and the riots and the Mars may be great plays, but they are going to probably be longer-term swings unless you're going to be intraday, swinging them or trading them intraday based on Bitcoin's volatility, which will certainly be there for sure. Short, long, those are fairly cheap stocks to borrow when it comes to going short, so you can play that way, or you can play options as well. I'm probably, I'm most likely would, if I'm going to take a trade on Riot or Mara, it would be just shares. I'd either go long or short based on Bitcoin, based on the overall market, things like that. If the overall market's red, Bitcoin's down in the day, Riot and Mara probably see some downside if you can kind of get in there towards the beginning or before the market opens. Usually you see the market opens and they fall off pretty hard. Usually you can take advantage of a decent, 1, 2, 3% move, something along those lines. It's been there the past couple of weeks. But I want to see Bitcoin kind of coming down. Wherever it finds support, We'll be following it, obviously, as time goes on. And, hold up in an area. Not necessarily just bounce right back off of where it's at and go straight back on up. Kind of hold up, pull some solid consolidation, and then make its kind of, move back up. And if it wants to go straight up from there, sure. But I would like to see some consolidation for at least a couple of days, ideally into May, maybe. We'll see. And then once we hit May, I would be thinking at that point we can see a reversal. Obviously, we'll see how it happens going forward. So, who knows? All right, let's see. White House says U.S. will immediately make specific raw materials. Oh, yes. So that's the whole thing with OCGN and what's going on in India. It's really bad from some of the stuff that I was seeing today on the outbreak in India, the virus. So that's why OCGN is doing quite well. So OCGN is going to be massive, I think, this at least come Monday. So that's where all eyes are going to be Monday morning, OCGN. Probably going to gap up, I would think. It's probably going to gap up. We'll see how that goes. And then from there, it could be a fader throughout the day. But if we go back to OCGN really quick, it's going to be that $14, $15 area. Over 14, 15. This thing is, probably, unless something else steals the cake, right? If we get some momentum on some other stocks in the pre-market hours tomorrow, with some other stocks dropping some fresh news, that's at least the headline reads well, those stocks will pick up. But OCGN is probably going to be where the attention's at based on how it played out Friday. I would say for sure. Got some lotto puts on Riot. Those are going to pay nice for sure. The way that those pay massive is when you look at futures, and if we see futures super red, tech red, if that's red tomorrow, Riot opens up. That will open up pretty nasty to the downside. But Bitcoin, at least it's trying to bounce around, so we'll see. It doesn't look good though. I would say Bitcoin doesn't look great. If I was a long on Bitcoin in the short term, it doesn't look great. I'm more of a long, I guess, longer term, so I don't really care. My holdings, I'm just holding them, I'm not actively trading my Bitcoin. Let's see. CLSK and SGBX are two interesting ones. We can talk about some of those because these are CleanSpark. Yes, CleanSpark pulled up. This is one. We've been kind of seeing a lot of similar setups. MVIS is one we can actually talk about really quick too. Let's do that before we dive into these because they remind me a lot of this setup. So MVIS is a similar kind of setup chart-wise, and it bounced and went nuts and essentially doubled in like 3 days. And this is the type of stuff we've been seeing from a lot of these high-growth plays, what seems like have come back, massively off their highs. We saw in February, they've come back massively, but it's like one by one. They're kind of all popping off. Clove pops a little bit now, all to different degrees. We're seeing MVIS popping off, massively. So they're all kind of one by one seemingly getting that attention. But if we go back to CLSK, it has that same type of look. I would like to see it holding up around this 17 area where we have the 200 simple moving average, just orange line, the 200 SMA or MA 200, all the same thing. But yeah, you kind of have somewhat of a wedge forming. It's not perfect because we have a little more volatility here, but roughly speaking, you kind of have something along these lines. And, we kind of have, it's kind of a channel, I guess you can put it. But something like this, and we're getting to the point where we're kind of, this descending wedge. When you break out of these descending wedge patterns, that's usually a pretty strong breakout. And so we're kind of coming to more of a point on CLSK where we had a lot more volatility, a lot more action, and then now we're kind of seeing that things are kind of tightening up, right? And it's tightening up right here. So I would like to see it holding up around 17 as support now. And then looks like over 20 is not going to do it. You need to get back probably over like 23, and this thing has a shot for, a potentially big move, for sure, based on how it has been. Obviously one of those higher growth names, over the past year, And then if we go to SGBX, this is a funny stock because the thing I don't like about them, not that I don't like about them, but they're like super pumpy when it comes to their stock. And it's similar. I like the play, and they partner with like Blink Charging, I believe. I like it a lot, but the company, it's a stock that when people follow them on Twitter, and when they tweet, everyone hops on. They start circulating the tweets, circulate Twitter like 2 seconds, everyone starts jumping in the stock. Which, the stock obviously longer term has pulled back. This is a tweet, I believe, from Elon Musk one day. They tweeted at Elon Musk about something about Austin, Texas, and it just popped up from the stock was at like 4 something. It went up like over $1 within like seconds. But it's got a decent kind of look where it's come back down a lot from where it was. So I would like to see if it holds up. Let's see if it holds up around $3 as support. If it holds up there, we can get a breakout of this rough downtrend and get this thing back up towards 5+, which would be interesting play for sure. OCGN, yeah, it's going to be LGHL. The thing with this one is that it's either you have a longer term thesis on this one or not. Here's because Bitcoin is not the way Bitcoin's setting up. It doesn't look great. So this could be a Bitcoin sympathy play. I would say down towards $2 would be if I was going to play it. It's at some of these lows. I don't think it's a terrible play down here. I don't want to say cut it and then see the next day it runs or the next week it runs. So it depends on your horizon. Do you see that capital being better used somewhere else, at least in the short term? If not, then I'd say leave it in, right? If anything, this is probably going to be setting up for a really good reversal. At some point, Bitcoin kind of reverses and we get some more news out of them. They could probably be a really good play. but the volume is fading off. They are trying to hold up here around the $2 area. So let's see if $2 can hold. If it can't, maybe this thing comes back down, but it does have some even further support down towards 175. So that's why I think this is even a stock that, to be honest, if it does fall below 2, probably not a terrible buy either. You have some support down to 175. Under 175, then it's like, okay, what do you want to do? This thing can keep on dropping, making new lows, and then it's like, well, I'm buying into a stock that just continues to make new lows. At that point, it probably makes sense to cut it. I know it's still a decent drop from where it's at. At that point, it's a cut and wait for it to develop some support, wait for it to kind of round itself and see. LGHL, though, it may hold up. The past couple of days, it held up decently, and Bitcoin was shaky. So we'll see. We'll see if it holds up. It's not the perfect Bitcoin sympathy play, but they're in that crypto space. So with a lot of Bitcoin sympathy plays pushing down, I wouldn't be surprised to see LGHL coming down as well. So we'll see how far it comes down tomorrow as well. Let's see. AIKI I liked. It's a psychedelic play, right? Shrooms. AIKI I liked. The only thing was that I cut it eventually. I had it, I believe, here at like the 150 area, and because I think they did an offering, and I played it there, and then it fell off, and then we kind of lost momentum in small caps. I don't think it's a terrible play. It does look decent for a move, I would say, to 125 first, and then we'll see what happens from there. Not my favorite setup right now on the chart wise, so I'm probably not going to play it, but I have liked this one. EBON, let's see. That one's another interesting one too. It's come down a lot again with Bitcoin pulling back. I think that's gonna hurt it. Let's take a look at Doge. Might as well take a look at Dogecoin because what is it doing? Went to 17. Wow, that's nuts. So this thing, we got some significant resistance here. I don't know. I have no idea what to say with this one. It's just for fun. The crazy thing about Dogecoin is that if we go back months, actually, I got to go to the daily chart for this. If we go back, this is just showing us all the way from February. I sold Doge, I believe, in February when it hit like 7.5 cents or something like that. But I had it from I want to say less than a cent. And I didn't have that much in it, but I sold it hey, I'm taking my money. Obviously, that would have been probably thousands of dollars now, looking back. But I took my money off Doge. That was a mistake, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I mean, I made money. I more than doubled my money, so it was fine with me. PLTR, I like longer term. Let's see. MVIS is going to be interesting with this because the thing with MVIS is that it needs to get up over this $20, over $19.50, $20. That's key because it's into this area that was resistance many times in the past. So we'll see how this one plays this week. There's always people were mentioning about merger news with MVIS. It's going to go to $50. I mean, I was seeing stupid stuff like that. Not that it's stupid, but it potentially makes a lot of sense for them to get bought out or something like that. It makes sense. So I can see that for sure. The thing with MVIS though is that without that news, you're running on rumors, and I don't know if the rumors are going to be enough, and just the kind of the future projections of the technology and the future growth projections are enough to send it through this pretty significant resistance for right now. We'll see. Tons of volume though. Tons of volume on Friday, which actually was the most volume we've seen since we got over 117 million shares. We saw about 157 million shares traded on December 22nd. Now again, December 22nd, we were trading, in the single digits. Obviously now we're trading over $10. So different price point, but still lots of volume there. It's got to get over this. This is a beautiful chart. I mean, absolutely beautiful chart. I was kind of just last week was I wouldn't say choppy, a somewhat choppy week. I mean, started off kind of slow, picked up a little bit towards the end, but I took a short on MVIS, and this is why, it's good to have a sense of both sides. I shorted MVIS, actually, and I did it live, but I also did a second short again after that live example on the TC trading channel, which there should be a link down below, I think, to the third channel, which is just a tutorial channel. So most tutorial stuff is going to be there from now on. How-tos, how to short stocks on Webull, for example, was a fun video to do because if we zoom into what happened, we shorted this thing around 1896, I believe, was the short entry. So it was up in here. And I was only doing this because simply if I zoom out at the daily, this thing was literally at its resistance point. I think it would probably test this level, pull back, and then the next test of this 19 plus area, that's where I would probably not short it, and I would let this thing go for a potential breakout play. But it came back down, and then within seconds, we covered the short 30 cents, 35 cents, something like that, in the green on the short, which is great. Meanwhile, the thing ended up coming down like multiple dollars. It came down like almost $2.50 from that entry. So you can kind of see how it made sense for a short there, but it's got to break over that 1950. So the Dogecoin stuff, yeah, there's a lot. The thing of the Dogecoin thing was that when you see, and maybe it goes again, it has a second leg, but when you see everybody jumping on it is exactly when you want to sell if you're in, That's at least how it's been. When everyone starts jumping on the bandwagon, that's when it's like, hey, if I've been in this thing, I made some money, let's at least lock in some gains here. Let's sell my initial investment, so this way I can have some fun with the rest, right? Not many there. The thing is that the small cap market and penny stocks in general have been weak. Although there's a bunch that I'm watching, I can pull up my higher conviction ones. So we can pull up VISL. I like a lot. Unfortunately, with VISL, I love it. The problem is it may start to it may have bottomed itself out here in the low twos. And it's going to potentially make a push up to 90-ish, up towards 3 is going to be resistance on VISL. So I like this one a lot. I think it's going to be a $5 plus. $10 at some point is my longer term outlook on it. Market would need to be very hot. We need to get some nice news, and obviously the company has to kind of live up to its expectations, at least my expectations, for that to happen, for the stars to align. So obviously, if this thing pops to 4 to 5, I'm taking profits. That's how I do it. But I'm actually not in it in my Webull account, my shorter term account. I don't know if I'm going to be in it. We'll see. If anything, I might just at least day trade. I have some longer term account just because I'm letting it sit and that's it. I'm selling covered calls on it, or I did. Now they're like worthless. $5 covered calls on VISL out to May and June. It's like, it's not even worth selling them, honestly. But I like this one a lot in the drone space. BCTX, a cancer play. Micro cap stock, thin float. This thing moves fast. When small caps heat up, when low floats heat up, this is one that will probably go again. This thing can double just because somebody tweets about it. Like it has that type of potential. If it gets enough of volume on it, that's my worry. When I say my worry, is like I want to get these stocks lower is what I want. So I've been waiting patiently. I want a red day in the market for these things to pull back, and then I'll be picking them up. ELYS, online game plan. This one's really looking nice. If it actually held up support here at 375, you're at a pretty low risk, high reward entry, I think. Over 450 again, this thing can reclaim 450, and then we're back into where I believe this thing has a shot to 10. Also, some news out of DC could be coming from them relatively soon. This is a stock. We're getting down to some of these stocks where they have the amount of cash that they have on their balance sheets, right, is almost half, or some of them actually, I believe even the same amount of their market cap. And actually not a high conviction penny stock play, but just a play that I'll probably be in at some point, RMED. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But it's starting to round itself off a bottom here at 360 at $4. I like RMED because if you dive into RMED, let's pull it up on tip ranks. I'll pull it up. Let's see. RMED. This guy, I believe, if we go to the stock analysis section, we got their market cap is 13 million. I believe they have like 25 million in cash. Last I looked at their last earnings, I believe. So you're talking about a company that has, or a stock that has more cash than the market cap. Doesn't matter the price, right? You're just looking at a simply cash to market cap. Whereas you look at a lot of growth plays and you look at a lot of these stocks these days, NVIS and all these other stocks, they're trading at massive multiples to what their revenue is, right, in terms of their market cap. And so it doesn't even make sense, let alone cash. Now, these are penny stocks. These are small caps for a reason, right? There's a reason, but many times that's a good sign. Usually that's a sign where you're looking at something that is potentially undervalued in the short term, and you can get a good squeeze, a good pop out of that stock in the next couple of weeks, months. where, you can go from, for example, RMED can easily go, they drop some good news, this thing can go crazy, but it's a low float stock as well. RMED goes from 4 to 8, 100%. I mean, like that's beautiful. And that's like very, very doable based on its prior history. This thing was trading up near $10 a few months back at the peak of kind of like the small cap kind of hype, or whatever you want to call it. So I like that one a lot, RMED. Not necessarily a stock I've looked at too much in terms of diving deeper into them. I've traded them before though, so it's been fun. So the next one I would say on my list, WWR, I like a lot because they are in graphite. They're mining graphite. So WWR and AREC are like mining plays, like rare earth plays in a sense. You don't have the batteries for EVs and just for a lot of things in general. You don't get those things without these companies. That's why I like these as swings. And RME and WWR found some solid support here in a really good spot. I like where it held up. It held up at a nice spot. I was waiting for it to hold up around that 375, and it did. So it's sitting here at 450, but I think the stock has range. This thing was trading up over 14, a few months back. This thing has that range. EVs get hot again. This thing has a range, I think, back up toward. It's not an EV play, but it's what they do. Nickel and graphite, that stuff is fundamental for the EVs, the batteries in the future, right? So that's why it's where you want to be kind of looking when EVs get hot. I think this is one to look at. The chargers are key too, but this is also some important stuff. Same with MP Materials, right? Same thing with them. That's a more of a longer term play as well. But this is an easy, I guess this one's not, I wouldn't say an easy double. This one can easily double in the next couple of months, and you can lock in some beautiful gains on this play based on where it's at. And we're starting to see them start to round the corner. But my next test will be, let's get a red day in the markets. Let's see how this week goes with all the attention on a lot of tech stocks, a lot of tech earnings. If you missed the video from earlier today, we went over like a calendar of like some of the biggest companies that have earnings this week. When you see that, what you traditionally see is a lot of volume and attention's focused on the large caps, on those tech plays, and you don't see as much on the small cap plays. Because think about it. If you're going to see so much volatility in Tesla stock on Monday, and then the next day you got some other stocks, and Wednesday you got Apple, and you got like Neo on Thursday. All these stocks are volatile enough that traders are going to be looking at those stocks, and they can care less, at least right now, on some of these small caps. So it could be a good dip opportunity if they're still holding up solid supports, but they pull back a little bit from last week. That's where I kind of want to see things hold up, and that's where I'll be looking to start getting into some positions on some of these plays. AREC, same thing, kind of breaking, trying to get back up. AREC reclaiming 350 would be a really good sign for AREC. I like this one a lot. Rare earth play as well. Ampg, I like this one too. This is another one that's like a super small market cap play. Beautiful support. Beautiful support here at $5. It's like it pushed up a little bit in the after hours, up towards 6. This is a super thin stock as well. It can move a lot. This thing could quietly go back to $10. I mean, literally 3 weeks ago, this thing was up over 13. So this thing could quietly go back to 10, which puts you almost a double from here, which is why I like this one as well. Super kind of under the radar, I feel like, in terms of volume and attention, but it's one that I like a lot. Comms as well, in that 5G space. Comms, look at this chart on comms. Came down to about $2, holding up too beautifully. I think comms is beautiful. $3 will be a resistance point, and then over 3 we can get the party started from there. So we'll see if comms likes to make a move. And then AYRO is another one of the EV plays. I like this one as well. I've talked about it quite a bit in the past. It's bouncing decently off that 450 or so that it found to be support. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's at least what we have on the table. Those are at least where I'm focused, and I'm going to try to be honest, I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, where that's my list. Maybe I'll add RMED and maybe a few other stocks here and there. So that's really it. So in terms of my swings, that's where I'm going to focus. And outside of that, it'll be day trades. Because I've been enjoying the day trades a little bit more. And I'd feel I would sleep great at night, knowing that I'm in these stocks. Let's say I was in, X number of dollars into all of these stocks evenly. I would sleep great at night knowing that. Where I start to not sleep great at night is when you're in random stuff just because the chart setup is good, because it's a sympathy play of this and because of that. And then what happens the next day, if there's some news on the leader of the pack, if the market's down, everything comes down, and it could lose momentum, and you could be massively down on the day. So that's where I don't want to be, and so I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Ideally, we kind of get these stocks to kind of go one by one, so I can kind of be loading into one, load into a couple at a time. One goes, scaling out, taking those profits and rolling them back into other ones. Ideally, that's what I want to do. But I think personally, it depends upon the small cap setup and how the momentum is on the small cap space over the next couple of months. But I think that this list of, 7 stocks, I believe, 3, 6, 7, 8, whatever. This list of 7 stocks, or 8 stocks, that's enough to take my account to hit that 100K from where it's at. So we started at like 15K in September of 2020. We're at like 43, 44-ish right now. We've touched 50 a couple times and we come back. But I think these are the swings, and I make the most money on the swings. Just identifying ideally right when swings are hot, when they're not, and they haven't been. But I think that we're getting ready for a pretty bullish swing market in the small cap space, and I'm pumped for it. But I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump the gun because I don't want to start getting into these things too big, and then all of a sudden they come pulling back down, and then we not blow up, but they don't by no means have to go. Just because I believe they're undervalued doesn't mean that they have to go crazy. If the market says no. Mark says no. That's kind of how things work. You may think that NIO is the next best EV play, right, to Tesla. And you may believe NIO is the best stock ever, right? Or you may think NIO is great, right? And NIO should never come down. We can look at NIO really quick. But, right, the past couple of months, NIO went from 65 and it just kind of kept falling off and it has bounced at 35. That's a pretty big cut from where it was, right? Doesn't matter, And so in this example, it's an example of, long-term outlook. I'm buying NIO and I had no problem doing so. And that's what I've been doing in my longer-term portfolio. And it's hopefully looking like it wants to break out of the range for now. So we'll see. I think CCIV is getting to a really good spot as of right now, personally, for a long-term play. This is one where you just stack away. I think you stack this thing away under $20. You stack it away. If you have a chance, if it comes down even more, you buy a little bit more and you kind of forget about it and let it ride. Now, I'm not somebody you put your entire portfolio in, right? But it's a speculative play that this thing could be, a $100 stock at some point in the future, in a couple of years, next 5 years, and you cash in nicely on that. So that's kind of my take on it. Sens, I don't know enough about. This has been a very popular stock. I don't know enough about this one to say yes. I like it to that degree. So I don't know. And it's more speculative and it's going to be a lot more volatile based on the price that we've been seeing and the action we've been seeing. So I can't comment too much on that. All right, let me scroll back through and see if I missed some stuff. Let's see. Ooh, man, I missed a lot. Skills is going to be an interesting one to watch. Let's see. Penny stock's been kind of rough. Yes, exactly. There's a lot of oversold plays, but we need to kind of get that confirmation of a bottom. LMNL is a beautiful one as well. We have the PDUFA right on the 5th of June. LMNL is one that I'll probably also add to my list of a nice swing position into June. I think for the month of May, it's probably be a solid play. I like it down here. NSPR actually is another one. NSPR, this is another penny play. They have a reverse split, I believe, tomorrow, So the price is going to change. When they do reverse splits, essentially we get the price over $1 and we can kind of go from there. Does it tell us the reverse split? Let's see. It definitely does on the left-hand side here. Sorry. Let's see. Maybe it's not going to tell me now. Okay, whatever. But that one, okay, 1 for 15 on the 27th. So Tuesday, they're doing a 1 for 15 reverse split. So there you go. Okay. Outside of that, NSPR, we'll see how this one plays out though. If this could be they could drop some news post-split and go crazy. We'll see what happens. Skills is I think Skills could be a decent longer-term play. The only problem is that it's a little overbought for right now based on, like a weekly, this past week time, in the past 5 days, overbought. So if Skills pulls back down to like 1650 or so, I like it a lot better there and below. Let's see. Plug is a solid play, I think, for a potential bouncer. It's going to bounce quite well. It's breaking out of this downtrend. It may make a pretty big bounce. We'll see how big that bounce is, though. This could be one of those Skills types of bounces, MVIS type of bounces. So I will be staying tuned to some of these types of plays. These high growth plays that have pulled back quite a bit, because it seems like what we've been noticing is that like one by one, they're all kind of running. Wait, so this channel not have to... No, this channel, everything that's up on the channel is going to be up. I'm going to post videos as I see fit, but specific tutorial stuff will be on the TC Trading channel, which it should be linked down below. In the community tab, I have a link to the channel as well. So that will be like a couple times a week. If I notice I get a lot of questions on like options, calls or whatever, then I'll make a video specific to that and I'll put it there. It's just the problem is that it's just algorithm based, because the algorithm, if I post an options video on like how to buy an option, right? Which for most people, they're like, okay, I don't care. Like I know how to do it for a lot, right? But there's a chunk of people who are like, I don't know how to do that. Like, can you explain that? I totally want to do that, but I also don't want to like have the next day I come back with a different video and then YouTube's like, hey, these people didn't watch your video, so I'm not going to show it to them. It's like, it's stupid stuff, but that's just kind of how it works. So I'm keeping tutorial-based stuff there. Don't care about the algorithm there. It's just searchable stuff. That's where it's going to be. And then this channel is going to be kind of what I've been posting the past couple of weeks, keeping it kind of similar styles of videos on, I guess, different channels. OCGN has the most potential. That one's going to be, I think that one, if that thing goes over, let's go back to OCGN. OCGN, that thing goes over 15. Yeah, this is probably going to go $20, and I wouldn't be surprised. This thing goes to $20. The fire seems to be ignited for a lot of small caps, I think. Let's see. Hit those thumbs up. That's true. Let's see, BCTX will definitely, that one's going to run at some point, I think massively. Could be a $10 play at some point. SLNO. This looks good actually down here. This is a good play because this is a bottom play. I would say if I'm going to play it, even if you're looking at this thing and it does kind of make some new lows under $1, that's the stop. I mean, you're looking at like a 19-cent downside, so you can pretty much identify your risk to the downside is your stop down below 1. Honestly, you can play it down below 110, but it may bounce at 1 if potentially it does. This looks pretty good though. You have, I would say this targets here would be like 135 seems like it could be very doable. That's probably if you really were looking for a short-term play. Scalp, I guess, to 135, which is like 15 cents, but I think the target really would be like 175. 175 would be the first target, and then I think this thing gets into the gap. 250 is definitely doable. That's a nice chart. We'll put this one on the list. SLNO, just so we had that guy for this week. Yeah, I dive into, in terms of finding out how much money, how much cash, they'll usually, if you go back into just the company's press releases on Seeking Alpha, on even Yahoo Finance, you can actually go in and dive in to see their last earnings report. And sometimes you don't even need to even dive into the balance sheets and dive into all that stuff. It'll even just say it in the press release. If you read it through, it'll say this company, we have X number of dollars of cash, our revenue is this. They'll give you some highlights, I guess, in the front. So sometimes it's very, very simple and very easy to kind of see that. DPW, DPW is weird. DPW is a weird one. It kind of was a great play when things were super hot, but since then it's come down a lot. So if it holds up around $2, I would say maybe, but it's just a weird play. You have the EV charging aspect. You also have crypto aspect. In my experience, this thing has been a weird stock. I mean, I've done well on it, but right now I don't feel like I need to play this one. When things are super hot and DPW is lagging behind a lot of stocks, then yeah, it's probably not. It'll probably get its run. But it seems like it's been wanting for its next run for quite some time. Everyone keeps buying into this thing as it keeps falling, so I don't really want to mess with that right now. I can get rid of some of the clutter on this chart though. So I'm gonna give it one time. Maybe it has more in the tank, but it doesn't have the best reputation across all traders. So it is what it is. But I think this thing could pop up to like 350 pretty easily on some nice news. They need some nice news, and it goes with a stronger small cap environment. This thing likes to run. EVs and renewables, that's where a lot of people are going to be at. There's a lot of money in the S for sure. That's where a lot of the focus is going to be. So when everyone's been kind of looking left and looking at everything else and everything falling and complaining, there's opportunity there. So I actually bought, did I buy Sun W? No, I didn't buy Sun W. I bought Run. I bought some Run in the long term, around the 50-ish, I think around this area right here where it's at. And I'm just going to ride this one out. Solar play, sun run. This is where I bought a chunk in my longer term account, and I'm going to let this one ride. So I'm not really too worried about it. I kind of was a little bit if it started falling down below 45 area. I would probably have bought some more, but that's at least what I did. It's just a longer term outlook on this guy. If we can take a look, might even have a downtrend break. Yeah, looks like we're right there. We're really close. Over like 58, back over 60, this thing breaks that downtrend beautifully, and it can make a nice run. I'm not actually in any I mean, I have a couple of longer term swings. Ampg I bought a little bit in the longer term account, and then the ISL I have some in there, but not much. So I'm not in any swings as of right now. Kind of waiting on this week to be the confirmation that I want to see before I add into more. But that's at least my plan. But I like comms. It's one of those on the list. If you guys are, for those who are coming in now, a couple minutes ago, about 10, 20 minutes ago, we went through like 8 stocks that I'm going to be the heaviest in when the setup's there. When we get some pullbacks, and the market seems like it's holding up, the swing market at least. That's at least those are the ones that I'm looking at right there. Good brokers in Canada. I'm not too familiar with the options there. The problem that Wealthsimple, I don't know much about Wealthsimple. I know that I don't know if you get access to like TradeZero and something like that. I would say if outside of the U.S., if you get access to TradeZero, maybe international brokers or interactive brokers, those are two that I believe I don't have experience in them though. So I use Webull. The only reason why I use Webull is because of the 4 a.m. trading. And the setup is nicer than I think than other brokers that I've used. So I just wanted to get access to that 4 a.m. trading because I think that's, for me, for the stocks I trade shares. So I can have sell orders hit at 4 a.m., right? Whereas if I had TD Ameritrade and I can't trade till 7, my sell orders might not hit. I just don't want to have that issue or worry about that issue. Now, I would probably say TD Ameritrade's fine. But it's my preference. And I was with TD Ameritrade for a while. I have an account with them for OTC plays if I find one that I want. I'm not an OTC trader by any means, but I will use that a little bit. ELRY, online gaming stocks. PLX, PDUFA on the 27th. Let's pull this bubble up. This could be a fun one to play this week. This is going to have you. This is getting up there. So this could be a play that makes a nice couple % move into the PDUFA. I wouldn't want to hold through unless you really are confident and you've done your due diligence and you really believe it. That's the fun. I follow a lot of people who hold and who are really into the bio plays, who hold through those PDUFA dates, and it's like it's got to be I've done it once or twice. I believe for ADMP. And I got crushed on it. But if you're playing with money you can afford to lose, it could be kind of fun if you really have the confidence in it. Let's see. NSPR, yeah, all these companies do reverse splits. It's just for the short-term play. That's all it's about. I don't care about the stocks long-term. A lot of the small caps, penny stock plays. It's short-term. You're playing for the short-term spike. NSPR did quite well back in February, and it had some decent news, and it does look decent. Let's see the split. I want the split to happen, see what happens from the split, and then if it kind of holds up, bottoms out, do an offering, or who knows what happens, then I'd be interested in taking a peek at it. Next couple weeks, it's on my radar. How much money a company has? Yeah, that would be the cash. So you would want to look to how much cash they have right now in terms of their current cash standing, and then market cap. If you look up a stock on Yahoo Finance or wherever, it'll tell you the market cap. FinViz tells you the market cap, and so finding the cash and how much cash they have. Usually in the last earnings report or in a recent PR, they'll mention how much cash they have on hand. If they do a recent offering, usually that's kind of a good sign telling you, hey, they have some cash now. Bad sign, I guess, short term, but it could be a good sign if you're looking to get in after the offering for a lower risk entry. That's at least my thought process there. TAN is a good one as well, long-term solar ETF play. You can play this one too. I bought Run as an individual stock, but I mean TAN's probably a good one as well, and it's bouncing quite well. I think it's looking like it wants to make the next leg. There's no way around this stuff now. you can dive into people talking about solar and renewables and how solar is not the best way to go. And there's all arguments either way. I just don't think I see or envision the next 10 years where solar isn't bigger than what it's now. That's kind of at least my take on it. Zom's funny because Zom is a funny stock. I don't like Zom. People are asking about it. I don't like it at this point. Let it do its thing, bottom out, and really build some solid support for me. The problem with Zom is that this thing was so overextended for so long. I didn't really like how, from the vibe that I kind of got from reading into the company PRs and stuff like that, when they were talking about their Trueforma launch, which happened a couple weeks back, the vibe wasn't great. And it was like, kind of like, yeah, we're going to do it and we'll see what happens in a sense. It's like the feel I got. So I was like, okay, this doesn't seem too good. I already knew I traded Zom back when it was like a 10-cent stock, last year. So let Zom come down, build some solid support, find a bottom. And if it maybe finds a bottom here at like 75 cents, then, let's let it test that 75 a couple times before I don't want to play. Zom has that look of like, this thing bounces off of 70 cents, makes a push on up wherever it goes. Great, cool. And then it's going to come right back down and make new lows at some point in the near future. That's kind of the anticipation that I have, unless they drop some good news, unless they have some awesome updates coming out, which they could. So we'll see. Mara, we can take a look at Bitcoin again, but that is going to be down. Actually, as we speak, right, we were just talking about Bitcoin at the beginning. Look at that. Bitcoin shooting right back up, rocketing back up over 50K. So Mara and Riot may actually open up green if Bitcoin actually opens up over 50K. So it's going to be fun to watch. But it didn't look good about 2 hours ago when it was hitting 47,000. But Bitcoin's acting kind of weird. I think it's got to, it's either got to reclaim 50,000 and hold up on that level and do its thing. And then you got the guys, you got people on social media and Twitter who think that they know everything about Bitcoin. And I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll tell you that right now when it comes to Bitcoin. But, you can do all the technical analysis you want. There's more at play than just technical analysis, and that's for any stock or anything, right, in general, not just Bitcoin. But it's weird. It's giving me some weird vibes. Lately, I want to see it kind of holding up, building some support, consolidating at a level for a beat. Like, I want to see Bitcoin in a range whether that range is between 55 and 50K or it's between 51 and 41. I don't care. I want to see it kind of trade in a range for quite some time. Be able to identify the range, try to snag it at the bottom of the range, or snag the Riots, the Maras towards the bottom of the Bitcoin range and pick it up from there and ride them up. That's kind of the idea. But those will be some decent reversals. If Bitcoin gets back up towards its highs, those will be some really good reversal plays. FBIO was a beautiful run-up play. That was nice. Dogecoin with Elon Musk on SNL. That could be a decent idea. Day trading and SPR. I'm not touching it now. It could be a swing idea at some point after the split and let the dust settle a little bit. I don't know if Weeble's going to be available in Canada. I've heard rumors, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be available in Canada and what the timeline is. That I would think at some point they make a push because I've seen enough people asking about it. I'm sure they've gotten enough questions. I'm sure they've gotten enough push for it, but I don't know. EIA, clean energy play, 22% short, 18 million shares. You can take a peek at that. Or IEA. This is a similar chart, right, to a lot of these growth plays. This is setting up. It's got the 200 SMA support right here at 1120. So it's looking like it's got some support around this level. Would like to see that bottom be set in. But again, similar setup, right? You kind of have a downtrend. Where's my downtrend? Roughly, let's connect this. Let's extend this guy. Roughly, like something like that. And it's got to break out and get that confirmation of a breakout over like 15 gets that, at least I would think. But that looks like a decent bottom setup as well. So there's just a lot of these setups that are setting up, at these bottom setup. But it's like we don't have that confirmation of a bottom yet, right? Because this thing could bounce and then do what it did, a couple weeks ago and then come right back down and make new lows. That's the kind of the only hesitation I have on a lot of stocks this week. And I would say that this week could be the day or the week to start picking some stuff up with a lot of these earnings this week. The attention after this earnings might start to kind of trickle back into small caps after the volatility is over from these stocks that have the earnings. That's at least my take. Vive. Vive is one I played a lot in the past. Played the stock quite a few times. If you go back, Vive bounced at 243 was the low, and it's starting to come back on up. This has this when this thing goes, it has that range. It has that spike potential. Super low float stock as well. Just been a downtrend for been in a downtrend for quite some time. Let's see. Zom only sold 1 to 2 Yeah, that's the thing too. They only sold 1 or 2 at least last I looked. CEO cashed out. Is that true? Is that true on Zom? That would be hilarious. And not hilarious, but I would not be surprised. Oh my. No. Yeah, so we're looking right now, and there's definitely better places to do this. But if you're looking at finviz.com, you can go to the bottom, and they'll actually show you some insider trading. I think you can do this on Tip Ranks as well. You can do this as well. But what we can see is that we had Johnny Powers, the director, on July 7th buy 625,000 shares at 16 cents. Okay, Johnny Powers just sold on April 12th $1 higher at $1.16. He sold 750,000 shares, so he cashed out pretty big. Wow. And he exercised options at 45 cents, which gave him some more shares. So he had 875,000 shares. He sold 750, so he's got some left. But that's the director. There's the CFO and secretary exercising options and selling. Had a sale. CFO and secretary had a sale of 116. President and CMO sold at 116, a lot of shares. So you can kind of see, right, what happened. Might as well take advantage of the stock while it's up. They don't really believe this thing is going to be holding up for much longer. So I would expect Zom to come down. And this is a classic example, right? I think, where this thing comes back down. And it could be a decent play, for that spike or for whatever. At some point in the future, let them come back down, do a reverse split at some point, tighten the float up, because the float's 900 million. I mean, who cares? That's a lot of shares. It's not going to move very fast. So yeah, there you go. I didn't know that the CEO, and I know all these people, these insiders, cashed out like that. But there you go. That's something to watch. I mean, the same thing happened with EVFM at a horrible time. I mean, the Zom, at least they milk this thing. I mean, you could have made a lot of money on Zom, right? If you had Zom, if you rode this thing up at all from the fall into the winter into early part of 2021, you made a lot of money. You made crazy percentages. If you had this thing somehow under 10 cents, which there was opportunity. If you got under 10 cents and you had the thing went up to over 250. I mean, crazy. I think it had like $3 in the pre-market one day. But EVFM did the same thing. The CEO sold a ton of shares like right after they launched their product, which is, what does that tell you? Like, they don't believe in the company. They don't believe in the stock of the company anymore. Like, what's going on? Like, is the product garbage? Like, so it's like, okay. So you got to watch that now. Whether the stock comes back or there's a reason why they sold, and many people have reasons why, right? CEO for EVFM bought parents a house, apparently, right? Whether that's BS or not, I don't know. But, maybe the stock comes back and maybe the company does well at some point in the future. But short term, it's never a good sign. Let's see. Definitely not OTC. No, I'm not OTC. I'm not an OTC guy either. Not to mention what Coin did. Yeah, well, the thing about Coin, I will say too, right? And I said before, right? Think about it. If you were an early investor, or you had money tied up, or whatever, or you're an insider into Coinbase, right? We can pull it up too. I'm curious. Did it fall? It fell below 300, right? Yeah, it did. Oh wow, it fell to 282 now. But Coinbase, if you all of a sudden had, however many shares, right? I don't care if you're the CEO, the direct, it doesn't matter. However you had ties to this and you had invested into Coinbase a long time back, and you have your first opportunity to take, a chunk of that out. And I don't know exactly how long people were in and whatnot when that money was tied up. But all of a sudden, if you become a multi-millionaire when it goes live, or, now you have hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Because of the stock, or if you're not going to sell some, I mean, I'm selling some. I probably wouldn't sell all of my shares, right? If I'm someone on the board or insider, or I had shares like that, I probably sell half, maybe something like that, and ride the rest. But these people, they have the ability to cash out massively on an investment that was great for them, potentially, and go take that capital and use it somewhere else. Go pay off everything for their families and go do whatever they have to do, and then go invest in the next thing, right? So I can see it. I kind of get it. That's at least my take on it. IPO slowing down. Yeah, I think it seems like it. MJ stocks. Yeah, I don't know. They've been super weird. They're probably going to go. Tilray, for example, we'll just look at Tilray as I guess the leader of the pack. They're going to have a day at some point, and they're going to potentially squeeze a little bit. It seems like no news right now is heating the sector up. Seems like it, but we'll see how this one plays out. Tilray, I think, is the one where I'd look first. Maybe it's going to try to find some support at like $15. If it holds 15, that could be an area for now. Let's see. SNDL is one as well. Everyone always talks about too. SNDL is a funny stock. The thing with SNDL is that this stock got so much attention back in the mid-February period when Tilray had its crazy run. SNDL was like trending on Twitter, like decent, like trending on Twitter. SNDL, like sundial growers. I guess it was also Wall Street Bets. This was like crazy. I think Dave Portnoy was talking about it. He was in it at some point. And when that happens, that was a sign to lock in gains. At the time, I think I was playing it too, but I think I made a lot of money on SNDL, or percentage wise, it was a beautiful trade. I think I sold some over 4. I mean, it was insane. This thing went over like $5. Where'd it go? It went to 487. It hit in the pre-market hours back on, that was the 11th of February. Insane. I don't know if we're gonna ever see that again. That type of run. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen personally. But the sector heats up. This is a stock everyone will jump on pretty quick. So always one to have on the watch list. MVIS needs to get over $19-20. Gets over those levels, and I like it a lot. We can look at that. We talked about that one earlier, but we can look at it again for those who are jumping in now. MVIS has some significant resistance up here between 18 and like $20, 19.50 or so. That's significant resistance. That's what we got to watch. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys for doing so. Run up those likes, and we can get a lot more than what we got. Seems like we used to be getting a lot more likes back a long time when we first started the stream. Seems like people just stop hitting that like button for whatever reason. People just got tired of hitting the thumbs up button. I don't know if I should stop saying it or if people just stop doing it. Got someone who also mentioned on a video at some point, like I forget when. I think it's on the second channel, the Stock Trends channel. It was like, stop saying hit the thumbs up button or like the video. Don't say that. We know. Like, well, to be honest, I understand how it's like annoying, but at the same time, I have tested it many times. If you say it, you get more likes on the video, which helps the video do better, right, in the algorithm. When you don't say it, you don't get as many likes, and I've tested it multiple times. So, unfortunately, unless I forget it, like, I'm going to say it. If you're not scaling out profits on runs like SNDL, you're crazy. You gotta take something. Whenever I was saying before, when everyone's on something, that's when you sell. That's when you gotta be locking gains, and it can be fun. You can be a part of the ride, right? The GameStop, the Dogecoin, the SNDL, and everything, right? Everything has its point, but when everyone starts doing that, it's usually the signal. Other thing too, everybody has been the crypto god now, right? Everyone jumped from stocks to crypto the past like month, but what are you seeing with Bitcoin? Bitcoin's pulling back. Now, lots of altcoins are going crazy, so there's that too. But I would say if I'm looking at crypto, I'm looking at, let's take a peek. Doge is at 26 cents. Let's go back and find, where's Ethereum? Ethereum is doing really well. It's holding up quite strong. Look at this. ETH has been beautiful. And I'm I still have mostly Bitcoin. I would say it's probably like 60-40 or 75-25, but I bought a little bit more Ethereum a couple days back. I forget when, but I like that. I'm glad that I did because it's been strong. Look at this is within reach of all-time highs. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is 15,000 off its highs. So, it's a significant difference in terms of performance. Still putting in higher lows. Look at Ethereum. I mean, so this has been a lot stronger. This one looks like it wants to go to like 5K. People talking 10K. I don't know if it goes to 10K, great, cool. But seems like it's making it wants to make a push. Small cap slow down. The thing that I would say too with the small cap plays, I will say that I've noticed that now. I would say I got into small caps end of August 2019, which I didn't know anything about them come August 2019. But August 2019 was, if you talk to people who've been around for a while in the small cap space, that was a very, very slow month. And traditionally you see August be slow, but that was like extremely slow in terms of recent memory. And I like just was getting into them at that point. So I can't really say like I didn't have much to compare it to. But then from then on, I was like, oh, this is crazy. There's always a runner every single day. It's nuts. But then last year, August, September 2020 was slow. I would say that what we saw the past like month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, was even slower. I think it was even slower than August of last year. And I don't know. I can't really go to the previous August because I just kind of jumped in at that point. But it's been. I haven't seen it as dead as it was. Usually you get a stock or two each day that has momentum, that's up 50%, 100%, 200%, sometimes more, at least one. There's usually one, and maybe it comes down towards the end of the day, but usually there's always one that there's always ups and downs. You can play the volatility off that pretty much all day. And just recently there has not been, like OCGN was one that pushed up last week, but since then, like the past like couple weeks, it's been super dead. And I always get up in the pre-market to make sure that I've been watching. Honestly, I would say the past year, maybe a little bit longer than that. And actually now, whether I take a trade, I'm mostly a swing trader, but whether I take it or not, I've been dabbling more in day trades lately, but just to kind of hone a strategy and test some stuff out. But I watch everything. So at least I always know the sentiment. I always get a feel for what news is pushing what stocks. And so if I'm noticing that in the morning hours, hey, that all these stocks are running up because of Bitcoin news, well, then that's going to help me identify the next swing trade because I'm looking for crypto-related plays, right? So it's helpful to get a sense of that stuff. But the mornings the past couple weeks have been super, super dry. Hopefully tomorrow OCGN should be a pretty juicy one. We'll see, though. 100K subs soon, I hope. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. It's not about the numbers, though, I to be honest. There's some channels, though. It's crazy. I look at some other channels out there in the stock space, too, that I don't know how they have the subscribers they have, but I guess people took advantage of the past couple months when things were hot. And, top 7 stocks to go 1,000% tomorrow. Those videos did well, I guess. So people grew pretty fast. And I guess, there wasn't much skill in that. There was no risk management. There was none of that stuff. It was just, throw a dart and any stock you say went up. So who cares? And especially when you have 100,000 people who are buying the same stocks of you, that's definitely giving you a little momentum, Let's see. Missed a bunch. I got a bunch of those PDUFA dates. And Biofarm Catalyst is a good site too for those who are interested. Biofarm Catalyst. Let's pull it up. I think I can pull it up. Yeah, here it is. I have it pretty much saved. Biofarm Catalyst is a good for a lot of these biotech plays, PDUFA dates and stuff like that. If you want to find them, PDUFA calendar here. Boom. I mean, you can subscribe to this. There's like a paid version as well. But we can take a peek at. It gives you some good stuff. I would recommend diving through that one if you're interested in looking at some Catalyst plays and things like that. It's like a free trial. There's a free trial, right? There's a 14-day free trial and $17 a month. I mean, if you're if you're a serious trader, then that $17 is who cares. It's a write-off, right? You pay for it. I personally I don't right now, but you could if you want to. Also, Wall Street Bets has amazing trading days. Yeah, I honestly haven't been following Wall Street Bets and paying much of attention to them. But they do have the people. You think of it for like the memes. Like I've seen some threads of some good stuff where people are dropping some like legitimate due diligence, and it's good to see. BCTX has another 10-day bull run. I mean, I think it's curling. BCTX is curling. I don't know if it makes that type of 10-day move. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping. Hoping is not the best word, right? Obviously, but I'm not in it right now, so I'm hoping it stays nice and low so I can get it nice and low. But I'm giving it this week, and I'm going to ideally see by the end of this week, by this weekend, right on the Saturday video when I go over all the stocks I'm in, you'll know at least what I'm playing. I'll be talking about it probably this week as well. If I grab some swings or if I still stuck to day trades and whatnot, depends how the week goes. I mean, SPY. I don't even want to look at SPY because it kind of disgusts me of where it's at. Not disgust me, but like. It's like it's going to pain me because I know we need to see a nice pullback. And unfortunately, that's probably going to come right when everyone's feeling pretty good about getting back into small caps. And then it's going to come cracking down. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. February, my watches have been green. Before it's been red. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, okay. Outside, let's take a look at futures really quick because I want to see how those are looking. Pretty even. It looks like small caps up 0.25%. VIX is slightly elevated. Tech is everything's even for right now. So we'll see what happens if things stay quiet. This is a pretty big week. I think Powell's speaking as well a couple of times, so it's going to be a pretty significant week in terms of across the board. You know, the action, the news we're going to get. And all those stocks that have earnings this week, I don't even know. Like, I don't even want to look into the volatility that we can see on some stuff. And not to mention if SPY pulls back, right? Although the good thing for SPY, I would say, is that now, not that news was not known, right? The capital gains tax news that we got from Biden last week, and it's a proposal, not set in stone, but that also was quickly, that the worries of that were quickly, bought back up. So we got that news that happened here on Thursday, the 22nd. SPY comes down to like 410 or 411. And then the next day, Friday hits up to 418. And then it pulled back. It did actually pull back kind of hard towards the end of the day on Friday, which I didn't even pay attention to, but it did. And so we'll see. It was up a lot. Recovered all the losses from the prior day off that news, which we knew was coming. So if you were someone who was like, hey, like, doesn't make sense, quick arbitrage play right here, hey, we knew taxes are going up. Why is there an overreaction here? I think it's because you're just seeing the stock market, right? How things work. You just see overreactions to the right, to the left, up, down. That's how it is. That's how this stuff kind of goes. Let's see. Till rate of 55.60 or SNDL to 3 to 4. I feel like, to be honest, I don't know if I would probably go with Tilray first, and I don't know if any of that happens anytime soon. I just, the sentiment right now is super blah. We would need some more cannabis stuff. We need some more cannabis news, but even that news that we've been kind of getting the rumblings of that stuff hasn't really done much to the Tilray plays, to the SNDLs and whatnot. But I think we could get a reversal, so we'll see. I don't know how big of a reversal we get. But ALKS dip for June 1st PDUFA. GNOG is an interesting one. It's been kind of just a lame play, though. Past couple of them. Let's take a look at this one. Where is it sitting at? Yeah, this is not bouncing the low 13 area. Not too bad. It's not a terrible spot. It's trying to look like it's trying to make some sort of consolidation right now. So we kind of have this looking. We got support down below where it's at. Doesn't look terrible. I liked GNOG back a while ago, and of course, it was back when everything was hyped up. All the SPACs were hyped, so it is what it is. But this one is, I don't think I have some long term, and that's really it. That's just my intention on it, playing it for a little bit of a longer term play. So we'll see. Let's see. From here, we want to look at Doge is pushing up a little bit from where it was. Yeah, Doge. Well, Bitcoin and crypto kind of getting a little bit of a push the last hour or so. Honest opinion, yes and no. I mean, if you dive deeper into a lot of these, I'm actually curious. Does TipRanks even cover SNDL in terms of like analyst ratings? I want to say that there's no analyst on SNDL. Oh, there is. There is. Not many though. Tammy Chen is a Not even a one-star analyst. I mean, that's pretty sad to see. But yeah, there's a lot. SNDL is I mean, if we go to SNDL's, well, where's the market cap at? 1.39 billion. I don't even know. I haven't looked at any of their numbers as of late, but that seems like it's probably large for what they're doing numbers-wise. CEI is probably a good play as well. CEI is one that has been, it's a cult stock. So CEI likes to go, and when it goes pretty crazy. It's been a while. CEI could be looking like a bottom play down here. Let's see. Got that one. It has that type of potential where this thing can spike and it can go to 150 like that. You know? I don't know. That's what I think. Gnog slow burn states 90% tax revenue comes iGaming on not sports betting. Transport change. Yeah. NNDM, that one's has seemed like it wants to put up some sort of reversal. Let's take a look. Yeah, so it's bounced here in the upper 6s, and it's trying to get back up over 750. Back over 8's key. NNDM over 8 is good. That's a good sign. You need to get over 8 and hold over 8. And I would think NNDM looks pretty good. Other than that, though, let's see. Not gonna lie, act like I wasn't involved in SNDL. I was heavily influenced in Discord. Yeah, when it goes, it went. It was nuts. And so the thing that I think is also interesting, and I think it's important to note too, with some of these small caps, and I think I'll wrap things up. We talked about a lot of stuff, and it's kind of getting to the point where we're talking about the same things. I feel like over and over again. We can do more lives as stuff heats up though. But with SNDL, with the Tilrays, with just some of these small cap plays, people get caught up in because they were in this thing. It was a crazy stock, and it seemingly was the next best thing. But you know, I play these same stocks over and over, right? So you get these same type of patterns where they spike, they do offerings, it comes back down, develop some support, and you play them again at the bottom, and you run them back up. They drop some news, and it's the same thing. So let them come down, bottom out. SNDL is probably getting closer to a bottom, at least for now. And then we can play it again. There's no need to kind of be hoping and praying for the next, for these stocks to come back. It's being a little more nimble, I think, over time with some of these small caps plays and understanding, hey, I'm not in this thing for the long term. I'll play the short term action on it, and there'll be more opportunities, short, long, whatever, But the problem with some of these, though, is that you're looking at SNDL. If you're a short, I don't really know if it makes much sense to short it right now unless it gets a spike. Because it's slowing down, your movements are slower. If you're gonna short SNDL, you're probably gonna short it for multiple days to try to get a bigger move. So the short aspect here isn't as appealing. Long wise, it starts to get appealing as we kind of develop some support and hold up. So we'll see. Pop more NDM. That looks like it could be a decent dip buy. I don't know. The MJ sector this week, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It has been so tough to kind of heat up. So eventually there's going to be a catalyst or something's going to happen and it's going to go. But it's been super slow to heat up in the cannabis sector. Tesla earnings, that's going to be nuts. Tesla's going to either go, I think, the way Tesla trades is Tesla's either going to go 800 plus or Tesla's going to go sub 7. It's going to be either the two ways. So if Tesla goes sub 7, I think it's not a terrible idea. If you haven't gotten in or you want to add to your Tesla, probably not a terrible idea. I may do that. If Tesla goes sub 7 after earnings tomorrow, I probably will add to my Tesla long position. And that's it. And then I'll kind of chill with that. Social media definitely moves things. It is a different type of market for sure. And what I've been noticing, I think I can kind of tell. I think because of Bitcoin pulling back and I think crypto's slowing down from the craziness. I mean, it's not slowing down too much, right? But a little bit, I think, and we're starting to see some small caps heat up. I think we're getting some more attention, and I think the attention is coming back towards some of these stocks. So we'll see how it goes. But that said, I'm going to wrap things up here. We can take a last look here at futures. They're pretty much even, slightly red to even, small caps up. So we'll see what happens. It should be an interesting week. Lots of earnings, so there'll be a lot of stocks that are going to be moving off of earnings. And then on top of that, we'll see if we get the small cap continuation. If we do, That's where I want to be. OCGN tomorrow morning is the play. We'll see how it plays out, but that's where everyone's going to be focused. OCGN. So I'm saying Tesla's going to go up. It's either going to go up or down. That's what I'm saying. It's either going to go up or down. So outside of that, I'm gonna wrap things up. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Stay green this week. It should be hopefully a nice chill. Well, not going to be chill. There's going to be a lot of volatility, but hopefully we can get a better sense as to where things are headed after this week. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.